Good morning, everyone. Let us start.
Good morning,
Okay.
sir.
Today, we shall learn about rural-urban population composition. Remember, we have been learning Chapter 3 of Fundamentals of Human Geography. Now, I shall share my screen. So, rural-urban composition, that is rural-urban population composition. So, let us start. The division of population into rural and urban is based on residence. So based on residence, population of a country can be divided into two categories, rural and urban. I think meaning of rural and urban you have learned. This division is necessary because rural and urban lifestyle differ from each other. So this division of population into rural and urban is necessary because rural and urban lifestyles differ from each other in terms of their livelihood and the social conditions. So in terms of occupation, in terms of lifestyle, in terms of social relationship, we find differences between the rural people and the urban people. The age, sex, occupational structure, density of population, and levels of development vary between rural and urban areas. And the criteria for differentiating rural and urban population varies from country to country. Okay, so in some countries, population can be divided into rural and urban based on occupation. In some countries, based on density, based on the size of the population. In some other countries, or a combination of many things. Okay, in other countries. But in general terms, rural areas are those where people are engaged in primary activities. So the most widely accepted criterion for differentiating population into rural and urban is the occupational structure. So based on the occupational structure, rural areas are those where people are engaged in primary activities like agriculture, fishing, hunting, so on. And urban areas are those when majority of working population is engaged in non-primary activities. So people in the urban areas are engaging more in the secondary, tertiary, and quaternary sectors. So this is the main criterion for differentiating population into rural and urban. Any question regarding this, boys and girls?
No, sir.
So figure number 3.4 shows the rural-urban sex composition of selected countries. Okay, so let us read. Actually, we may read this figure number 3.4 first. So this is the figure number 3.4. Okay, and so this is a multiple bar diagram showing rural-urban sex composition of selected countries of the world. And see here, it is expressing, the sex ratio is expressing in terms of these females per 1000 males. Okay, females per 1000 males. So Zimbabwe, for example, this is an African country. So you may look at on the map of the world. So here we have Zimbabwe here. Okay, in the southern part of African continent we have Zimbabwe. So in this country, see, this side represents rural population. Okay, for the sex ratio of rural areas, and this side represents the sex composition or the sex ratio of the urban areas. Okay, so here for Zimbabwe we find that the sex ratio for the urban areas is 1032 females per 1000 males. That is, the sex ratio is favorable. Here in this country we have more females than the males. We have 1032 females per 1000 males in the urban areas. Similarly, in the rural areas also, the sex ratio is 1087 females per 1000 males. So again, in the rural areas also, there is a favorable sex ratio. And whereas developed countries like Canada here, okay, developed countries like Canada here, Canada is, you know, this is a very big country and easy to locate also. Here we have this Canada, okay, and so this is a developed country. So in this country we find sex ratio is favorable in the urban areas. See, in the urban areas the sex ratio is 1069 females per 1000 males. So in the urban areas we have more number of females than the males, whereas in the rural areas there is less number of these females, okay, in the country Canada. So here the sex ratio is 968 females per 1000 males. Okay, in Canada the sex ratio in the rural area is 968 females per 1000 males. That means there is a less number of females in the rural areas of Canada. The reason will be discussed later on. And likewise we have see here in countries like Finland also the same is the case. Finland, you know, Finland is here. Okay, Finland is here. In this Western European country also we have the same pattern like Canada, more number of females in the urban areas, less number of females in rural areas. Likewise in New Zealand also, okay, here. But in Nepal, see, in Nepal, this is an Asian country, as you know. Nepal location, I think it is here. Here we have Nepal here, and in this country situation is reverse. In Nepal we have unfavorable the sex ratio in the urban area. See, 938 females per 1000 males. The sex ratio is 938 females per 1000 males in the urban areas of Nepal, whereas it is 1008 females per 1000 males, okay, in the rural areas in Nepal. That means we have a favorable sex ratio in the rural areas, unfavorable to women in the urban areas in Nepal. Okay, and likewise see Brazil. Okay, we have Brazil here. This is a Latin American country. In this country also, Brazil, you know, this is very big country in Latin America. In South America, here we have Brazil, and in this country also we find say more number of females. Okay, we find more number of females in the urban areas and less number of females in the rural areas. See here in Brazil, the sex ratio is 1072 females per 1000 males, whereas in the rural areas it is 902 females per 1000 males. That means there is less number of females in the rural areas, and there is excess number of females in the urban areas in the country Brazil. So this is about the diagram. So any question, boys and girls?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Then again, the reasons are given here. The rural and urban differences in sex ratio in Canada and the West European countries like Finland are just opposite of the African and Asian countries like Zimbabwe and Nepal respectively. Just we have discussed the diagram. So in the Western countries, males outnumber females in rural areas, and females outnumber the males in urban areas. Just we have discussed earlier. In the Western countries, in the European countries, and the American countries, we find more number of females in the urban areas and a less number of females in the rural areas. However, in the countries like Nepal, okay, India, Pakistan, the case is reversed. Here in Nepal, Pakistan, India, we have more number of these males in the urban areas and a less number of females in the rural areas. So reasons are given here. The excess of females in the urban areas of USA, Canada, and Europe is the result of influx of females from rural areas to avail the vast job opportunities. In the developed countries, okay, females are moving out from the rural areas to the big cities to avail job opportunities. This is for the developed countries. Okay, whereas in the case of India, Nepal, Pakistan, males are migrating from the rural areas to the urban areas for job opportunities. So this is the main difference. And in the European countries, American countries, farming is developed and highly mechanized and remains largely a male occupation. In European countries and American countries like Canada, USA, farming is highly mechanized. Big machines are used, and that is why it is largely a male occupation. And that is why males remain in the rural areas for cultivation, whereas females are moving out from the villages to the big cities to avail job opportunities. And that is why we have more number of females in the urban areas in the European and American countries. Okay, and as I told you, for the Asian countries, urban areas remains male dominated due to predominance of male migration. And it is also worth noting that in countries like India, female participation in farming activity in rural areas is fairly high. In case of countries like India, female participation in the farming activity in the rural areas is very high, and that is why, okay, we have more number of females in the rural areas. At the same time, due to a lack of security in the big cities, it discourages women to migrate from rural areas to urban areas. There is shortage of housing, there is high cost of living, there is paucity of job opportunities, and a lack of security in the cities. So this discourages women to migrate from rural to urban areas in countries like India. Okay. Up to here, any query, any question?
No, sir.
Next, we have another population
Sir.
composition. Yes? Yes, any question? Okay, then let me continue. You may ask, okay, literacy So this is another important attribute of population. So proportion of literate population of a country is an indicator of its socio-economic development. So the percentage of literate population in a country is an indicator of its socio-economic development, as it reveals the standard of living, then the status of females, availability of the educational facilities, and the policies of government. That means the rate of literacy indicates, okay, the availability of educational facilities, the status of the females, the standard of living, and the policy of the government. Okay, that means there is direct relationship between the literacy rate and the status and the development of the country. The higher the literacy rate, the higher will be the level of development, and so on. Okay. The level of economic development is both a cause and a consequence of literacy, as I told you earlier. Okay, if there is no educational facility or very poor education facility in a country, then there may be a low literacy rate. If girls are not allowed to go to schools, then there may be low literacy among the females. Okay, and that is why it is said that there is a direct relationship between the level of literacy and the development of the country, or the socio-economic status of the country. So what do you mean by a literate person according to Census of India? In India, literacy rate denotes the percentage of population above 7 years of age who is able to read, write, and have the ability to do arithmetic calculation with understanding. So this is the definition of a literate person for India. Okay, any person attaining the age of 7 years and above and who is able to read, write, and have the ability to do arithmetic calculation with understanding is called a literate person. So it implies that if a person is less than 7 years, then he or she is not literate as per the definition. So whether she may be or he may be able to read or write, okay, with understanding. Next we have occupational structure. Occupation that you have learned earlier, any activity which is economically gainful. Okay, now we shall discuss about the composition of occupational structure, and here the working population. Okay, the working population, that is women and men in the age group 15 to 59 take part in various occupations ranging from agriculture, forestry, okay, and fishing, manufacturing, construction, commercial, transport, services, communication, and other unclassified services. So working population of a country are those people, okay, in the age group 15 to 59, okay, in geography. The age group 15 to 59 is known as the working age group, and people in this age group, whether women or men, are engaging in various occupations like agriculture, forestry, fishing, manufacturing, construction, commercial, transport, services, communication, and other unclassified services. And we know that we have these four main types of occupation in geography. In addition to that, we have another one, okay, that will be discussed later on. So the four types are primary activities, then secondary activities, tertiary activities, and the quaternary activities. These you might have learned earlier and in the other classes also, maybe in economics classes also. So what are the primary occupations? As you know, agriculture, forestry, fishing, mining. So these are coming under the primary activities, as you know. So mining, extraction of minerals from the surface or from the subsurface, that is mining, and it is also coming under primary activities in geography. Whereas manufacturing is coming under the secondary sector. Okay, making of things. Then trade, commerce, transport, communication, and other services are under tertiary activities. And job related research, information technology, and developing ideas as the quaternary activities. Okay, so jobs related with research and development, then production of information, dissemination of information, all these are coming under the quaternary activities. In addition to this, we have another activity known as quinary activities, which will be discussed later on. And this occupational structure is also an important indicator of the level of economic development of a country. You must know that. See here, the proportion of working population engaged in these four sectors is a good indicator of the level of economic development of a nation. The proportion of working population engaged in these four sectors of occupation is a good indicator of the level of economic development of a nation. Let us see how. This is because only a developed economy with industries and infrastructure can accommodate more workers in the secondary, tertiary, and quaternary sectors. That means industries and other sectors, other service sectors can employ more people than the primary sector. Okay, and we know that developed economy has more number of industries and more infrastructures, okay, which can accommodate more workers in these three sectors, that is secondary, tertiary, and quaternary sector. If the economy is still in the primitive stage, then the proportion of people engaged in primary activities would be high, as it involves extraction of natural resources. So in a less developed country, then we find a higher number of people engaging in the primary activities like agriculture, fishing, hunting, and so on. So in this way, we have a very close relationship between the level of economic development of a country with the occupational structure. In the less developed economy, we have a more number of people engaging in the primary activities. In the developing and developed economies, we have more number of people engaging in the secondary, tertiary, and the quaternary sector. So in this way, occupational structure is an important indicator of the level of economic development of a country. So any question, boys and girls?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, for today, let us stop here. Thank you very much for joining my class. And don't forget to send your name in the WhatsApp group for attendance.
Thank you, sir.